Originally, I'm from Kenya. I'm in the ICT4D lab in University of Cape Town, the Department of Computer Science. And my presentation is on use of advisory expert system on how it can enhance the home-based care for HIV patients in South Africa. And my case study was in a township in the western province of South Africa in a community called Mburu. So I'll start by explaining the HIV in South Africa. South Africa is rated as to have the highest HIV infection rate in the world, and as statistics was carried out last year, that is 2011, they say that 5.38 million people are infected by HIV. And according to the map, most of the people who are infected by HIV, they are on the northern part of the country, and where my studies is taking place is on the Western Cape, where the Guguletu community is. So to understand HIV, I had to carry out interviews with the healthcare workers in the clinic at Guguletu Clinic. I went there, and first of all, I conducted the feasibility studies to understand whether they will take in my system and will they allow me to work with them. So in the process of explaining to them what I'm supposed to do, I got to understand the role of the healthcare workers. The healthcare workers are there to counsel the HIV patients on and explain to them about the disease and how they should maintain themselves. They are also advised on nutrition, what they are supposed to eat, and this is based on the food that is readily available in their homes. They also visit the patients in their homes, and there they help them to carry out activities like cleaning the house, helping them to clean since the HIV patients are weak. They help to change their bedding. That's the duty of the healthcare workers. They also provide advice on how to use ARVs drugs, and this depends on the stage which the patients are. There are 4 stages of HIV. At the early stage of HIV, the patients are not advised to take the ARVs, but on the second stage, third, and the 4th stage, which is the last one, the patients are advised on how to use the ARV drugs. So, after understanding the role of the healthcare workers, I got to understand that most of the people in the community are affected by the disease, but the healthcare workers do not treat all the patients with the service that they offer to them. So, according to my knowledge, I was motivated to see how ICT can help the healthcare workers to reach the patients in the community. And one of the motivations that helped me, that gave me motivation to work on this project was that ICT solution has shown potential in medical practice. And this, I've read about medical informatics, which have been used to provide information to patients. There are also expert systems that are used to disseminate information to HIV patients. When somebody carried out a research in Department of Computer Science in Botswana University, and the expert system was used to disseminate information to the general community in Botswana to provide them information about HIV. Also, another motivation was ICT allow health information to be effectively distributed to both healthcare workers and patients. In terms of healthcare workers, there are systems which have been developed that can help them to manage the record, because the record in the clinics, there's too much. So there are systems which have been developed that can help the healthcare workers to store the patient's records in the clinic. It's also about the internet and mobile computing, which has advanced much in South Africa, with most people using mobile phone to access the internet. So after understanding the motivation of ICT in health, how was I going to use ICT to disseminate information in health? I came up with a proposal, which was to develop an expert system. In the expert system, I was going to feed the knowledge base with the common HIV symptoms that I acquired heard from the healthcare workers, and also the appropriate, I call them home remedy, but by home remedy I don't mean traditional medicine. By home remedy I mean that the food which is readily available at home, and the exercises that you can carry them at home to, like for example, if you're having backaches, there's a way you can be told to stretch to help your back from having the pains. That's what I mean by home remedy. So I developed an expert system. I fed the knowledge into the knowledge base. There was an explanation facility, which was in the expert system shell. I used the Java expert system shell to develop as my expert system shell, which is supposed to look at the symptoms that has been queried by the patient, and the appropriate home remedy that's supposed to manage these symptoms. That's what the inference engine is supposed to do. Explanation facility is supposed to explain to the patient, not to the patient but to the healthcare workers, how did this system come up to this, how did it go about in finding that this is the appropriate home remedy for this particular symptom. And that's the user interface. So in this system, the patient can query the system using either using computer, the internet, you can connect the computer through the internet, but most of the people in the Google Letter community, they don't own computers or laptops. Most of them, they access the internet using the mobile phone, and that's the, most of them, the people who are in my focus group, most of them, they were using the mobile phone to access the internet. I conducted the evaluation. The first thing I did was to train the healthcare workers at the Google Letter Clinic on how to use the symptoms. This was for them to understand how the system works, and also to give me feedback whether the system is feasible, whether it can be used by HIV patients. They agreed with my system, and after that, they acted as my intermediate, and they were supposed to train the community on how to use the system. One thing is because I can't speak Xhosa. Xhosa is this language that's spoken on the western part of the South Africa. So they know Xhosa, and during their training session, they use Xhosa to explain to the patients on how to use the system. We evaluated the system, and they trained the patients how to use the system. And the findings we got from the patients on how to use the system, most of them said that the system was accurate. The feedback that users was giving back to them, they could use them and at least manage the symptoms that they were experiencing before visiting the clinic. Also, the patients appreciated the simplicity of the system, because it was taking them, even for those who didn't understand English, they told me that their relatives or friends around their community were helping them to access the internet, and they could understand the system on how to move from one stage to another in accessing the information. Okay, the patient's relatives, I've explained that. They said that it was easy to access the system, and they were helping the patients on how to access the system at ease. Sorry, I'm repeating myself. Thank you.
You were just on time. Oh, thank you for keeping track of the time. Now we would like to have some questions.
Can you try? You said the language was Xhosa, but was the interface designed or translated in Xhosa, or was it in English? No.
It was in English. I designed it in English, but it's just a small part of the patients who could not understand English, the old ones and those who didn't go to school. And they said that their relatives, their sons and their daughters were helping them to access the system.
Okay.
Any other question?
So, I understood that thank you for the presentation. I understood that the role of the healthcare workers was during when you wanted to feed in the system, when you wanted to feed in the knowledge base of the system, so that it conduct this inference of the relationship between symptoms and remedies. And then they were involved in training.
Yes.
So did they continue later with developing the system? Did you take that into account, that the system itself could actually evolve with time if the knowledge kind of changes with time?
Yeah. In this system, I should have given the link of the system can be accessed online. There is a part where I recruited those two healthcare workers. I gave them passwords and username. They can feed, because the information I had at the beginning is only the one that I collected from them when I was conducting my interviews and feasibility studies. So later on, obviously come up with new remedies, or there's some remedies which I didn't do. So I gave them the username and password, and trained them on how to add new remedies, how to edit new remedies, and how to delete some of them which were not appropriate in the system. So the system is they're still adding more information, deleting and adding information into the system.
Thank you. Any other question? No more questions? It seems that we're tired. Okay, let's fill in the form for her presentation. And thank you once again.